This is Michiana's breaking news and weather station. On News Talk 95.3, 101.9 FM, and 1340 AM, your MNC Nation station.
Good morning. It is Thursday, October the 31st, 2024. News continues now with our top local stories on Michiana's Morning News. Mishawaka Police are investigating after a teenage boy was shot in the area near Panama and Jackson Streets.
The shooting happened around 10:45 Wednesday morning at the intersection of North Marion High School and west of South Logan Street. Investigators say the 15-year-old Mishawaka boy was walking in an alley near the intersection with one or two other juveniles. At some point in the alley, he was shot once, with the bullet lodged in his abdomen. He was taken to a local hospital where his condition was stabilized. So far, there's no description of any possible suspect. Morgan Hopkins, MNC News.
A psychologist who spoke with Delphi murders suspect Richard Allen while he was locked up in Westville gave testimony yesterday. Dr. Monica Wallace said Allen told her multiple times he killed Abby and Libby, along with talking about killing himself by jumping off the sink in his cell. Dr. Wallace stopped working at Westville after she was caught using the DOC database to look up info on the case, even posting it online chat rooms about the case. If you have business at Elkhart City Hall today, here's a heads up that it will open 2.5 hours late at 10:30 this morning. That's due to a water line repair that is underway. A man accused of stealing from his family is now going to have a bond hearing in early November.
Police responded to a call at Faith Mission, where a friend told police that Evan Milianta was said to have a stolen firearm. Milianta told officers he found the gun on Franklin Street, but a search of his backpack uncovered bullets. Later, police investigated a nearby burglary where a woman accused Milianta, her family member, of stealing items from her home, including electronics and jewelry. The Goshen News says he eventually admitted to taking the gun, claiming it was for protection due to threats made against their family members. Milianta was appointed a public defender, and a jury trial is set for March 3rd. Alyssa Foster, MNC News.
A man who's identified himself as an administrator of the LaPorte County Sheriff's Office is calling citizens. Problem is, he's not with the Sheriff's Office. The scammer is telling residents that they have missed grand jury duty and now must pay a hefty fine or face jail time. The Sheriff's Office is warning residents not to fall victim to the scam and to immediately hang up. Well, on this Halloween, first responders are offering some tips in order to help you and your family stay safe.
The Wayne Township Fire Department sent out a list of tips which include choosing costumes made of flame-resistant materials and incorporating reflective materials or bright colors to enhance visibility, keeping all decorations away from heat sources, and accompanying kids while they are trick-or-treating. Sasha Nixon, Network Indiana.
And from the health news file this morning, it's that time of year when simple tasks love to remind you just how old you are.
No matter what age that is, though, it's easy to injure yourself when you're raking leaves. Neck and spine doctor Lawrence Kurz with Michigan Orthopedic Surgeons told WSJM that light stretching beforehand can help. It's also important to have good form while you're raking, like keeping the rake in front of you as much as possible rather than going left and right or behind you. And work as close to your body as possible. The further away the rake is from your lower back, the greater the force is on those discs. And if you do hurt yourself, try some heat and take it easy. But see a doctor if the pain lasts more than a couple of days. Tommy Lee, MNC News.
Michiana's election headquarters, presented by the R&B Car Company.
Two election officials in the state of Michigan now out of a job for allegedly trying to interfere with vote counting.
Michigan's Director of Elections, Jonathan Brader, relieving the clerk of Rock River Township and his deputy of their duties after the two told officials they plan to hand count ballots before sending them to the county. In a letter to the two shared with the New York Times, Brader tells them doing a hand count of ballots violates state law and accuses them of blowing off requests to follow proper procedures. The clerk reportedly calling the state's move baseless, citing misleading theories, including that electronic voting machines are insecure. A rep for the Michigan Secretary of State's office seemingly confirms the removal, saying it speaks to the efforts that we are not going to tolerate any attempts to circumvent the law. Kristen Goodwin, Fox News.
And Attorney General Todd Rokita was live in studio with Casey Hendrickson yesterday. They talked about local cases of people going into nursing homes and registering patients as Democrats.
I've had people come forward in Elkhart and say, hey, I've got a relative. I've had power of attorney over them for over a decade. They're not of sound mind. Mm-hmm. People came into this facility, they registered them to vote, they filled out the ballot for them, they took the ballot, and they went back. We ended up finding out that everybody at that facility. I think it was about half a dozen people, all registered Democrat, all repeating the I hate Donald Trump line, which a staffer said to this particular relative. I got messages earlier this week that is happening in Whitley County. I've heard this happening on the Michigan side of the border. I mean, what can be done about that, and what should the process be for somebody who is in control of the legal abilities of a loved one?
It's a gray area, right? Because if you're over the age of 18 and a citizen, you have a right to vote. And, who's to decide you're not of sound mind? And so the law basically reflects the fact that, hey, you're allowed to vote. You're allowed to not be questioned about your soundness. And I imagine that applies somewhat to the power of attorney as well.
So if we're going to fix that problem, we should probably have the legislature draw something up that, hey, if you've lost the ability to make your own decisions and somebody else has to make those for you.
And again, it's a real tricky wicket constitutionally, because the Constitution says 18, U.S. citizen, you get to vote. So it's despicable, again, what these adults are doing to the feeble or to their children. And you see it happening on one side and one side only.
Right.
Once again, that's Casey Hendrickson, along with Indiana Attorney General Todd Rokita from yesterday's program. You can hear The Burning Truth once again this afternoon, 3 till 6 on 95.3 MNC. You can expect rain this morning in Indiana, but it's not going to be a washout for trick-or-treat.
All of Indiana is supposed to get rain at some point.
Yeah, it's good news for all the trick-or-treaters. It looks like the rain will be moving through earlier in the day, so it looks like once we move towards the evening hours, it should start to clear out. But for during the day, we're still expecting showers and maybe some storms.
Greg Mello with the National Weather Service says no severe weather is expected, and temperatures will cool down briefly on Friday. John Herrick, Network Indiana.
The streets will be filled with trick-or-treaters late this afternoon. Emergency room Dr. Javier Guerva says this time of year, the ER sees an increase of visits of kids being hit by vehicles.
Kids are running around. They're excited. They're full of sugar. They sneak through cars. The day is getting shorter. It's getting darker.
So if you're driving, be careful. Meantime, trick-or-treat times tonight vary depending on where you live.
In Elkhart and Goshen, you'll see little ghosts and goblins on the streets from 5:30 until 7:30. In Middlebury, Napanee, and Wakarusa, trick-or-treat starts at 5 and ends at 7. Most communities in St. Joseph County, including South Bend and Mishawaka, have trick-or-treat set between 5 and 7. In Edwardsburg and Niles, the kids will go door-to-door between 6 and 7:30. And in Buchanan, it's between 6 and 8 o'clock tonight. Morgan Hopkins, MNC News.
A homeless man has pleaded guilty to larceny and was sentenced to 14 months to 5 years in prison, along with a concurrent 180 days on a charge of narcotics possession. A later publication says the incidents date back to July and August in Niles, when 64-year-old Jimmy Lee Brown took an electric bicycle in broad daylight. The judge stated that the court had tried to give Brown services in the past, but had not resulted in any behavioral changes. New this morning on MNC, labor force participation is one of the highest levels in years, but a study notes that Indiana is one of the worst states for jobs.
The new study from consumer resource Wallet Hub states that the nation is enjoying an unemployment rate of 4.1%. Their data, which compares the 50 states across 34 key indicators, ranging from employment growth to median annual income and even commute times, shows New Hampshire is the best state for jobs. West Virginia ranks 50th. But Indiana was near the bottom at 48th. Michigan did significantly better at 17th. We have a link with all the data released in the study with this story at 953mnc.com.
And finally, this half hour, Lucas Oil Stadium will not let Taylor Swift fans gather to listen or tailgate outside of her concerts this weekend.
Visit Indy expects 200,000 people to be in downtown Indy for Taylor Swift's Eras Tour concerts November 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. 60,000 people each night are expected to be in the city for the show, but another 40,000 people a night are expected to visit without tickets. A spokesperson for the stadium says there will not be listening or tailgating outside for those without concert tickets. Heather Starr, MNC News.
Mostly cloudy and a chance for showers and a few thunderstorms for the first half of the day. The rain will taper off as we head into the afternoon. Temperatures will mostly be in the mid and upper 60s, falling into the 50s as we head into trick-or-treating this evening. Overnight tonight, partly cloudy, we drop down to 45. And for Friday, partly sunny, high temperatures at 53. I'm Chief Meteorologist Carrie Peugeot.
Get first word of the big winners on election night. Sign up for breaking news text alerts from MNC. To do so, text the word news to 574-2595, 95.3. Up next, top trending stories. We'll also check out your 5-day forecast through the complete weekend. MNC News Time, 5:13.
Podcasts by Federated Media.